Guys, this video is sponsored by our friends at Geology. This award-winning men's skincare company will formulate a customized skincare routine just for you, using a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. In fact, Geology is one of the only men's skincare companies to have retinol as an active ingredient in their products. If you suffer from acne, dark eye circles, wrinkles, or sensitive skin, look no further. To get started, take Geology's 30-second diagnostic quiz, and their team of dermatologists will design and ship a regimen directly to your door. It is that simple. Their face wash is incredible. It smells amazing, and I love the way it makes my skin feel after using it. With over 4,000 five-star reviews, why not give it a try? Start today with a 30-day trial of all 4 products. Their everyday face wash, Vital Morning Face Cream, Repairing Night Cream, and Nourishing Eye Cream. Head to Geology.com, take their free skincare quiz, and with this exclusive offer, you will save 70% off your first purchase, or just click on the link below. Francis Ngannou, guys, what happens now? And so I told you guys my own story about Francis, right? Story about Francis, I come over here, I talk about Francis all the time. I wasn't crazy about a lot of things that he did. I thought Francis set himself up in a very negative way for his hardest opponent, which was Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane was created and became a #1 contender and even was given a position to be in a championship fight, let alone to grab the interim strap from decisions that Francis made. And if in fact Ciryl was the greatest threat, that should be the last thing that should be done in the boardroom with the power of a pen and the bureaucracy by the champion, right? You want to keep those hard guys away. And we all know who it is. Sometimes you see the hardest guy, he got a #8 ranking. All right, great. People haven't figured out how good he is. I don't have to deal with him now, right? Everybody wants to talk about the top 10, but within the top 10, there's 2 categories. You got the top 10, but then you have the top 5. The top 5 are the only ones fighting for world championships. So if you got a really good fighter, you can keep him out of the top 5. Doesn't matter if he broke into the top 10. And I used to say these things. I used to talk about this. And I do think in hindsight, and with it being 2020, don't forget Ciryl Gane, when they actually said, let's get it on, was the betting favorite. Ever so slight, but he was a betting favorite. After that fight was done, it did look like that was the most competitive fight that Francis has had in a meaningful period of time. So I do think that I'm right, that Francis, for decisions that he made, created the opportunity for what went on to be his hardest opponent. Now, you might be able to brush that off because all went well. Francis still has the belt. I think that my point still stands. So I was saying these kinds of things. I'm talking about Francis. I finally meet Francis face to face with the Predator. We had a quick conversation, but it was impactful upon me. I learned some things about Francis. Staring there, talking with him, looking in his eyes, I realized things that I didn't know before, like he's a human being. He has feelings. He has emotions. Things bother him. They make him sad. They make him happy. He's a human being. You may think that that's obvious, but until you meet Francis, come on, because you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you see these guys, you only see them on TV. They're bigger than life. Their life is going great. Francis looks the way I wish I looked and has achieved what I wished I had achieved. You get guys like that, and you forget that they're just a guy like you, working hard, trying to make their way through, listening to what other people are saying about him, and sometimes it makes them feel good, and sometimes it brings them down. I got all of this in this quick conversation with Francis, and it changed the way that I spoke about Francis. Somewhere along the way, I get a call from Francis's coach, Eric, who couldn't have been a better guy. They watch the show, and they say, Chael, there is times where you're speculating on Francis, and you're wrong. There's a lot of times that you're right, but there's some that you're wrong. And you're giving an opinion to people that's wrong. In the future, would you just call? We'll make you a deal. We will always take your call. We will always answer your questions in exchange. Don't go put something out there unless you do follow up. Now, that's pretty reasonable. It's pretty reasonable. I'm about to do it right now, and I haven't called them. But why? Why would I not call Eric when I told, yes, I'll talk to you before I talk about your client? Why? I'm just speculating. I'm just admitting I'm speculating. I'm coming to you guys full well saying I don't know the intricacies of where Francis is at. And instead of calling Eric and getting to the bottom of it, that will come another day. I'm just, for now, I'm guessing. And I think that's okay because we're all guessing, right? None of us know. The greatest insight that any of us got into the contractual standing, Francis Ngannou and the company, UFC. was in a form of a question by Kevin Iole on Saturday night at the post-fight press conference, where Kevin Iole said to Francis, my understanding is if you sit until December, and then you're free to do whatever you want. I don't fully know what to make of that, and I am admitting I'm speculating and guessing, but it sounds to me like Francis has one more fight. Something because of the championship clause. If he was to go out there and do one more fight, he could be free instantly. Or I'm wrong and he has no more fights. Because there's two ways to interpret what little information Kevin Iole did reveal. But Kevin did it in the form of a question. Hey, Francis, if you don't fight, if you can't come to terms with the UFC, the exclusive negotiating period is going to take you X amount of time, which was estimated to be into December. But that is a very different question, because now you're talking about Francis does not have a contract at all. He's just in an exclusive negotiating period. And that's what I'm coming to speculate with you guys on. And I'm asking, if you got inside information, yes, I'll get a hold of Eric sooner or later. I just don't know that putting Eric in that position right now and then coming and blabbing to you guys is right. So let's have some conversation, but let's take a look at it in a couple of different angles. One of which is that we haven't even uncovered it yet, and we've taken too much from Kevin Iole's statement. That's possible. That is possible. But secondly, is Francis' contract in fact done? And all he is in this purgatory, known as a exclusive negotiation period, which could take all the way till December to be exhausted, because if it is, then he's not the champion, is he? Boy, that'd be rude. I sure don't want to see Francis lose his belt like that. But it is a company championship, for sure. Dana White was tested on this in court under oath opposite BJ Penn. Do you guys remember that? Remember when BJ Penn sued the UFC? And they were talking about, the judge wanted a clarification. Is this a world title? And Dana had to say, well, it's our title. It's a UFC title. The name of that title is World Championship, but it's my belt. I'll give it and I'll take it. I'll create new opportunities, new weight class, interim. I'll do what I want. It's my organization's belt, and I have the right to do that with people that are under contract with the organization. The judge was fine with that. No problem. But now we've got it on the record, and I'm going to pull that record back out now, because if Francis is not under contract, is he the champion? And if so, how? Francis being the champion is a tremendous deal. Tremendous honor and achievement and accomplishment by him. The ultimate that you could possibly gain. And champ is never going to be an option for Francis, because he can't make any other weight class. So he is truly at the pinnacle. I don't wish to take that from him, but make sure as you appreciate that and as you value that, that you understand how many other guys are on the roster with the same dream, doing the same work, and whether they're doing it as well, whether they had that magic wand of DNA spread over them or not, they have the same goals, the same dreams, the same drives. And they cannot become champion if somebody is already it. I bring that to you. You guys remember what St-Pierre did. Everybody was mad at St-Pierre until you thought about it for a week. You go, my God, George is a star. Look at what he did. George wins the 185-pound championship. He holds on to that thing for 1 week. He has contractually 1 year. He could have done, I'm sore. Oh, I don't feel good. He could have done what all sorts of guys do, so they get all the photo ops and all the money and all the sponsorships and all the attention for being the champion. George gave the damn thing back 7 days later, to a great detriment to him. But he did it for the boys. He did it for the people, his peers, his enemies, his opponents. He did it for them because he knew that they had a dream and he was sitting on it. It was one of the great moves that St-Pierre has ever done. And when you hear people always praising George St-Pierre, that is one of the reasons right there, that move, that act of selflessness. I do not suggest for you that that's what Francis needs to do. What I'm suggesting for you is, if Francis had an interim belt put up within his division, all because he missed one date, and that date was only a few months removed. It's only a few months removed from him capturing that thing from Stipe Miocic. The date in Houston against Derek Lewis, who was going to top the bill. So they bring in Surreal. They make it for the interim championship. If that happened to him in just a few months removed, and now we're looking at, based on what Iole asked and based on what Francis did say, yes, you understand, right, Kevin? You're talking about 12 months. What's the difference, guys? If we know we're going to have to fight for this thing before 12 months is up, if we know that Francis isn't going to do it, The sooner we get it back, the better. This was tested with Henry Cejudo. UFC 246 gets his hand raised against Dominic Cruz, retires in the ring. We all thought it was a negotiation ploy. Dana didn't call him on it. Dana said, you go think about that. I'm going to be traveling a little bit. I'm on the road. 2 Tuesdays from now, I'm going to be in a matchmakers meeting. I am going to make a title fight for 135. If you're half of that title fight, no problem. I'll get you an opponent. If you're not, I'll find 2 guys. But I'm not going to hold up the morale of the locker room. So this has been tested before. But never in a situation. And why? How can you take the belt away from Henry? All Henry did is say into a microphone, I'm done. That's it. That's all it takes. Yes, that's it. That's all that it takes. Francis did not do that. They had to get the paperwork in line, and off they move in the 135-pound division. If Francis is in that same spot, except the paperwork and the contract is exhausted, can he be champion? Can he be? He most certainly is, and he most certainly was. Can he continue to be? I'm asking the question. And if you're going to tell me yes, please submit an example in the past where that's happened. Because I just followed Journalism 101. I made 3 different claims, but I cited 3 different historical precedents for my claims. Now, other option. We got this all wrong. We got this wrong. He's still got a fight left. He doesn't have to do the fight. If he doesn't do the fight, and that's what runs him to December, then you put in the exclusive negotiation period, which is very possible. It's not the way that it was worded from Kevin and confirmed by Francis. However, I used to have those exact same contracts. They're boilerplate. That's why nobody has a carve-out for boxing. That's why Francis would need everybody's got the exact same contract. You got some different numbers. You got a different duration. You got a different name of Social Security on there somewhere. It's the same contract called boilerplate. When I had that contract, it was a 3 months exclusive non-negotiation period. So I don't know how Francis would have a 12-month. I don't understand that. Not to mention it wouldn't be 12, it would be 11. The whole thing would just be very weird. So there is a chance that he still has a fight. Don't think you're getting lost in the minutia here, because if he does in fact have a fight, whether he does it or not, if he in fact has a fight, they should not strip him. There should be dialogue going on. And even if that dialogue is 2 cars running head-to-head in each other at full speed, it doesn't, X amount of time has to go by. He has not said, I'm retired, like Dominic Cruz. He did not say, I'm going to do something else like anybody else. And if he does have one active fight, then everything that I said about he should be stripped or he's not even eligible to be champion is out the window. And I don't have that answer. I don't have the answer, but I don't think you do either. Kevin Iole gave us the greatest reveal into the interworkings of Francis Ngannou's contract by saying, if you do nothing and don't come to terms, you're still under contract until December. Is that true? It was a question, and Francis said yes. So I don't know that we quite have the right to read into the fact that he doesn't, in fact, have a fight. If he doesn't have a fight, I do have to stand by that, guys. If you don't have a fight and you're not with the organization, you can't be champion. You just can't. The other side of it is if he does have a fight lined up, he's just choosing not to do it. His contract doesn't exhaust until December. In the absence of doing that fight, they should not take it from him, at least not now. X amount of time has to go by. Good faith, operate in it. But it does seem as though Francis has dug in here. It does seem as though at some point we have to take a guy at his word. Dana did not hold Henry Cejudo to his word, not the night he said it. Dana White did not hold Khabib Nurmagomedov to his word, not the night he said it. He worked on it, and he worked on it, and he worked on it. And the words never changed. Dana became the mayor of Get the Hintville, and he moved on with business, but he's not there yet with Francis. He appears to have a very open mind. In fact, Dana's only said one thing about this. Dana gets in trouble because he didn't go to the press conference. You guys don't know where he was. You don't know why he wasn't at the press conference. He didn't put the belt on him. He looked like a big jerk. You don't know why he didn't put the belt on him. You don't know where he was. Dana said one thing since this fight. And you want to know what he said? He said it to TMZ. And you want to know what Dana's quote was? We're going to figure it out. We're going to sit down with Francis. We're going to figure it out. He said nothing else. But that is not the statement or an attitude of somebody who isn't willing to work. So what do you do with Francis in the meanwhile? I think it would be very wise for the current players in that division to start looking at the interim route. Start positioning and aligning themselves. I think Jon Jones is very fair game to be called out by somebody else. Though Stipe Miocic refuses to speak up for himself, he's got a whole army out here, and we're not going to let it slide if he just gets overlooked, right? I mean, I think there's some things that are coming together. I think there's some opportunities to be had. I think that an interim championship is very possible, which would give an opportunity for two guys, neither of which, to this point, we've heard from.